Madeline Soto's 13th birthday party was on Sunday, February 25th. The party was at a relative's house and she was surrounded by family. But one person who wasn't there was her mother, Jen Soto. She was working. Madeline's mother and father were not together. In fact, her dad married another woman a couple of months after she was born. There was a man living in her house, her mom's boyfriend, Stephen Stearns. Stearns was at the party. At some point after that party, and before she was supposed to be at school the next day, Madeline was murdered. Stearns is the prime suspect because he was the last known person to be with her, and he is alleged to have hundreds of disturbing photos on his phone of Madeline being sexually abused. Today, the department leading the investigation gave an update on the latest in the case. Tonight, we'll look at that information and see what it means for Madeline's mom. How close are investigators to an arrest and the determination of cause and manner of death as we continue our investigation into the tragic life and death of Madeline Soto.
I'm Vinnie Politan. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. We're going to talk about Madeline Soto, this case that has not been solved. It has not been solved, but the question tonight is, like, what happened? What happened to this 13-year-old girl? Just turned 13. What happened to her? Where was her life taken, and how was it taken? Two extremely important questions that I don't think any of us have much clarity on. When we look at where, many people thinking the home, maybe the car, or maybe somewhere before she came home from the party, right? You look at the timeline, there's only a few potential places. To me, the top of the list is the home, second, the car. Today we got a big update from the chief. Now remember, this case, the investigation is being led by the Kissimmee Police Department. The Orange County Sheriff, the Osceola County Sheriff, they both had huge roles in all of this, but now that we are where we are, Kissimmee is taking the lead in all of this, and they're getting help from the state attorney's office. That's the prosecutor's office in Central Florida, 9th Judicial District, that is helping, both with the help of lawyers and in-house investigators that they have. Also getting help from the medical examiner's office. So those three entities working together to try to piece together what happened to Madeline Soto and then try to figure out what the evidence tells them about who is responsible for all of that. And at this point, they're looking at everyone. They're looking at everyone who had contact with Madeline Soto. So who had contact around that time? Everybody that was at the party, and then obviously Stephen Stearns, the prime suspect, and Jen Soto. I mean, they got to be looking at everybody. And what they're presuming is they're presuming that anyone connected to her is a potential suspect, someone that they have to consider until they can clear them. And we know that the focus is going to be on Stephen Stearns for obvious reasons. Last one with her, and what was found on his phone, those digital images. Alleged sex abuse going back 5 years. So that puts him on the top of the list, obviously. But they're looking at everyone, and I think the biggest question everyone has tonight is about Madeline's mother, Jen. You know, is she in the clear here? And she's not yet. She's not in the clear. And that was clear from the update that we got from the Kissimmee police chief today. Because I believe if she was in the clear and they said, okay, yep, we checked everything out, whether it's an alibi or other evidence, and she said, but they're not there yet. They are not there yet. So Jen Soto is not there yet. So as we look at this case and this ongoing investigation, where they're still putting together a timeline, where they are answering questions that they have about the case and making progress, all of that was clear. But who isn't clear is Jen Soto yet. And maybe never, we don't know. You gotta wait till the results of this investigation. So let's focus in on Jen Soto right now, based upon what we heard at the press conference today from the chief. So take a listen. Don't only listen to what she says, but kind of listen between the lines of what she is saying here to try to understand where this investigation is and what's going on with Jen Soto. Let's watch.
We vow to do everything in our power to ensure Madeline's memory is honored with justice. Our detectives are dedicated to pursuing every lead, uncovering every fact, and holding those responsible accountable.
Chief Holland, is the mother a suspect or a person of interest in this investigation? And also with the videos that you uncovered, is there any evidence of the mother's involvement on any of these videos?
So everyone that was close to Madeline is considered suspect until we have proven otherwise.
Chief, can you tell us if Stephen Stearns acted alone in all of this?
We're still uncovering all the evidence. I don't want to speculate whether he was or not. We will wait until the investigation, is completed to make that determination.
Has Stephen Stearns said he acted alone, or what has he said in interviews with you? Since we know he's in jail.
Yes.
What has he told you about other people's involvement, if any?
He has invoked his right to a lawyer, so we have not spoke with him.
Chief, is the mother and the family members being cooperative and answering questions? Have they lawyered up? And also the father of Madeline, who is not a Florida resident, is he a part of this investigation, or at least being asked questions?
We have interviewed, all those family members that are close. Mother has cooperated. She did give us an interview. So there's, no one is not cooperating other than Stearns.
Sort of a mixed bag as I watch that and listen to it. And I'm talking about a mixed bag for Jen Soto. She did cooperate. That's big positive in all of this. She's not shutting down. She's not refusing to speak with law enforcement. But there was a word that the chief said that I found interesting. Those responsible. Hold those responsible. Those is more than one. Now, I don't think they've come to any conclusion, but they clearly have not come to the conclusion that it's over and it's Stearns and he's the only one we need to look at. Their eyes are wide open here. And of course, that's going to certainly include the person who is closest to Stearns and closest to Madeline, which is Jen Soto. So let's bring in our guests and try to work our way through what we learned today. Joining me in Orlando, Florida, from the Osceola News-Gazette, reporter Ken Jackson. In Barrington, Rhode Island, board-certified forensic pathologist, Dr. Priya Banerjee. And in Los Angeles, board-certified forensic psychiatrist, trial expert witness, and columnist, Dr. Carol Lieberman is with us. Great to see everyone. Okay, Ken, let me start with you. To me, it was clear from the chief today that they are still considering that this is more than one person. Mom is not in the clear, and the use of that word "those" really struck me, meaning like, okay, they're still considering the fact that this is potentially involving more than one person.
All right, Vinny, thanks for having me on tonight. Yeah, I think what you're going to see is, first of all, we didn't get a whole lot new today. In fact, Chief Holland admitted that I don't have anything new that you don't already know. But what was said was those people, these people, which makes me feel like we could see some aiding and abetting charges on others, people who may have known and didn't do anything. You did hear from us. We did get the chance to ask the level of Jen Soto's cooperation. Has it been cooperative? Has she been dodgy? Tried to ask where she was, and all we got was that, yeah, she did cooperate, during an interview. We didn't get a chance to ask a whole lot of what we wanted to, and we did get, I know we didn't expect to be able to pepper her with questions for like an hour. I did want to ask, if we can account for that period from 8/19 when Stephen Stearns drove away from the apartment complex with what they presume was Maddie in the car. to the afternoon when his car is seen on Old Hickory Tree Road in the area of where the body was found. And also, something we were hoping to ask was that, do we have any indication that Stephen was involved with distributing any of those images or the videos that the investigators found to hit him with the 60 charges with the possession of child sexual activity and the lewd and lascivious and such like that?
Now, Dr. Carol Lieberman, the mother, Jen Soto, apparently cooperated, gave an interview. From my perspective, that's a good sign, right? That she's not shutting it down, because she gave, I think, an initial interview to Orange County. So if she's speaking to Kissimmee as well, then she has had some level of cooperation back and forth. What do you read into that, Dr. Carol Lieberman?
Well, you know, this press conference, everyone seems to be saying that they didn't say anything. They really didn't say anything new. You know, that why did they even have a press conference? They could have just sent out a 2-paragraph press release. But maybe there was a method to their madness. Maybe they were doing something. Maybe they were trying to send a message to Jen Soto. On the one hand, you know, so yes, they said everyone close to Madeline is a suspect, including the mother. Maybe they're trying to, I'm hoping perhaps, or suspecting that maybe they are just waiting around, biding time, and not to say that they're not certainly investigating, but giving Jen enough rope to hang herself. In other words, giving her time to make mistakes, to give evidence. So on the one hand, you know, not necessarily saying, you know, we suspect you, and in fact saying she's cooperating. Of course, she's cooperating, but she cooperated with an interviewer early at the beginning, and she was saying things that didn't connect with other information that we found out. So is she cooperating and just telling more lies? I mean, we don't know exactly. She'd have to say, well, I didn't tell, you know, I was mistaken when I said this in that interview, but now it's this. I mean, I'm just thinking maybe they're trying to sniff her out.
Let's take a look. This is from Stephen Stern's arrest affidavit. On February 26, 2024, at approximately 2,000 hours, Madeline Soto, a 13-year-old, was reported missing by her mother. The mother advised her daughter's stepfather, Stephen Stearns, picked her up from her home and dropped her off at Hunters Creek Middle School. The mother then went to pick up Madeline from school at dismissal and learned that Madeline never showed up for school. So some of this doesn't make sense to me. Like, first, that he picked her up from her home. Where was Stephen Stearns living? We haven't heard anything about him living anywhere else. But Dr. Priya Banerjee, let me ask you this. Forensically, in terms of anything that might be found on or near the remains of Madeline, how can you connect people to that if the suspects are people living in the home, right? Are there things that would normally be there? So in particular with the mom, is there any way that there could be some sort of forensic scientific type of evidence that could connect mom to what happened here to Madeline?
Yeah, I think that's a very complicated but thoughtful question, meaning you gotta look. Okay, so you're going to do the crime scene analysis. In my career, I've often responded to crime scenes to work directly with police and collect evidence at the scene. So it's not just the body, but what's around the body. And then at autopsy, I'm sure they've done extensive DNA collections from the fingernails, the sexual assault kit. And as hard as that is to talk about a young girl, and as the mother of a young girl, you know, that's the harsh reality, especially given the context of this other crime. And so that's going to be for the suspect, essentially. Now, the mom, I think a lot of it's going to be on the inner, you know, inconsistencies, as my other colleagues here have mentioned. And, she's going to share 50% of her DNA with mom. So I think it's possibly less forensic, like DNA related or fiber related, and more connecting her injuries or wherever her, you know, what the investigation shows to the mom's story.
Gotcha. Yeah, it is tough when it's a family member and it's your mom. Let's put this up on the screen. This is from WFTV from March 5th. Documents show that the girl's mother told deputies February 26th that she saw her daughter getting dressed for school at 8 a.m. Monday, and Stearns then took her to school. Like, the reason that doesn't make sense to me, Ken, is it's almost inconsistent with the other story that he told her or he picked her up from home. Like, if she sees him getting dressed, where is he and where's he coming from and why is he picking her up? And all of this, like, Ken, her stories, like, don't match each other logically.
No, and you know, she did give. I know she gave multiple interviews to a couple TV stations around here, and you've got slight differences in those interviews. And then we have the investigative information from Orange County that they have Stephen on camera at 7:30 or thereabouts a.m. Dumping her backpack and laptop in a dumpster in the condominium complex, and then 8:19 he returns, and they presume that she's in the car with him. And we've gone around before, you know, that kind of flies in the face of, well, I saw her at 8 a.m. getting dressed. And we know that middle school in Orange County here starts at 9:30. So yeah, so we've got some inconsistencies here. I was hoping that those would be addressed today. I mean, when we were summoned, basically, we got the word yesterday that Kissimmee Police would be having a press conference, that they would have, you know, something to tell us. And what ended up, well, the message that we got was an awful lot like a social media post they put out about 10 or 12 days ago going, hey, we know you all looking for updates, and there's not a whole lot we can share that wouldn't compromise the investigation, because that's what it came down to, is that the whole theme today was that they were looking to prioritize the integrity of the investigation into Madeline's death.
Now, let's take a listen to Jennifer Soto with WFTV in light of what we know tonight, that she is not cleared in this case. She has not been cleared, but let's listen to her interview when Madeline went missing.
We dropped her off at school, close to school. She wanted to walk the rest of the way. She was spotted walking by the church, by the middle school, on the cameras. They saw her hang out in the parking lot for a little bit and then get up and leave. They didn't see a vehicle or anything else. They just saw her walk away around 9 a.m. heading towards the school, but she never made it.
What was the last thing, I guess, the conversation that you two had, you and your daughter?
We spoke about her birthday party. She had a birthday party on Sunday. She had a great time. I couldn't make it because I was working, but she had an amazing time. She was so happy with all her gifts. I told her good night, and yeah, that was it. I was the one who took her to school in the morning. That was my partner. But yeah, in my heart, I feel like somebody took her. This isn't like her to just pick up and run away, or just not go to school. I don't know what to think. She was last seen wearing a green hoodie, black shorts, white Crocs, a black JanSport backpack with gray hibiscus flowers on it. She got dropped off in the morning. We did not notice until after school pickup at 4 o'clock when I went to go pick her up, and she wasn't at school.
Dr. Carol Lieberman, I feel like somebody took her. What's your interpretation of that?
Yes, that stuck out to me too, because she seemed to be more connected, like authentically connected to when she said that. And, you know, yes, somebody did take her. I mean, allegedly, we don't know, but I mean, she could have been thinking in her mind that it was her boyfriend, you know, he did take her. Well, I know, I hesitate to say that, but I mean, you know, this is so frustrating. Everybody's frustrated because we aren't getting much information, and so there are all these possibilities. And I mean, I could tell you a whole bunch of different scenarios that are possible involving the two of them. It's really hard to tell. It's really hard to tell what the right answer is because you could interpret things. I mean, for example, there are things online, I don't know if these things are true, of course, but there are things online about that the party was at her grandmother's house. And so that adds all kinds of possibilities. So, for example, did the mother say goodnight to her in person at her home? Did she say goodnight to her on the telephone when she was at the grandmother's house or somewhere else? That's one of the examples.
Yeah. We've got more to cover, though. What about the medical examiner report? The chief talked about it today. We'll talk about that, plus coming up next hour.
In Fremont County, Idaho, the doomsday couple implicated in a series of murders. Lori Daybell has already been convicted in Idaho and sent to Arizona for another murder trial. But now, the doomsday prophet, Chad Daybell, getting ready for his case.
I begged her to go to the doctor. Her heart was failing her. She was physically falling apart.
Drug ring, a double murder, and deadly secrets in a small town.
Prosecutors allege Timothy Verrill killed 2 women because he believed they were working as police informants.
The Small Town Secrets Murder Trial, weekday mornings on Court TV.
There's no way, Morgan, I can ever come up with this.
We're moving closer to the trial in the case against Chad Daybell.
Prosecutors say they will seek the death penalty.
It's the doomsday prophet, Chad Daybell, on trial.
Now, we are actually at that site on Hickory Road where Madeline Soto's body was found. And if you follow me and look down the stretch of this road, there's not much on either side. I know she was found in a wooded area. It's kind of desolate on the left, a little desolate on the right. You could easily view something from the road if you're passing by. But right here behind me is the memorial site, actually where she was found, right in between those trees. And we actually have some community advocate members out here with us, and they tell us that one of them actually has been in contact with the owner of this land right here behind me. And that day, that morning of February 26th, they say that gate was open. They've talked to this owner of this land. The gate was open, and that owner is mourning because now they're having those thoughts. What if the gate was closed? What could I have done different? But ultimately, again, right over here between these trees, is where Madeline Soto was found here on Hickory Road.
That's where it was. In that tree line on Hickory Tree Road, Madeline's body was found there, and she goes missing Monday. She's found on Friday. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5th day, so she's at least 4 days or so in the weather. So they recover her body, then you've got to do the autopsy, and you've got to, the medical examiner has to do the report. So today, the Kissimmee police chief addressed that issue of the medical examiner's report. Let's take a listen.
Can you release any information about the manner in which Maddie died at this point?
No, ma'am. We are still waiting on the medical examiner's report.
Since you're working closely with the medical examiner, what does that relationship kind of look like, and what information are they able to release to you before that exam is complete?
So, not really. I wouldn't say that they've released an information. We depend on the medical examiner's report for our report. So we're going to have to wait until they release that report.
Okay, Dr. Priya Banerjee, waiting for the medical examiner's report to be finished. So what do you suspect is going on with the report right now?
So I think this is a multi-layered question, or answer, I should say. So when I've been involved in complex crimes that are high profile, you know, there's constant communication with the police. So, you know, she may be waiting for the final report, but that's not to say that what is known from the initial autopsy and as test results come in aren't shared. That's probably, you know, incorrect. I would expect that my colleagues are working very hard and going to share whatever and whenever they know it. Now, things take time, right? So, anything of the sort, like DNA that we talked about, even if it's collected at autopsy, that analysis can take time. Toxicology, as we know from other cases, it always takes time. It's not a rapid 24-hour kind of test, even if it's accelerated. And then you have the analysis of the body. I mean, it's quite possibly that she wasn't in perfect condition, given, there was days until she was found. And then you really want to get the full analysis of the injuries themselves. So that may require analysis under a microscope, x-rays, additional help. I mean, I'm being very broad, but it's to be complete, So there's sort of preliminary findings that are often shared, and then they're all finalized in the report. And you can't issue a report until everything's in.
Now let's take a look at what the weather was while she was missing, and apparently her body laid in that tree line. 77 degrees on Monday and sunny. 79 on Tuesday, had some wind. 84 on Wednesday. 79 on Thursday, and back over 80 again on Friday. So with some of that warm Central Florida weather that we love so much, but not the greatest for remains that are left out there. Ken Jackson, let me ask you about this report. We know Florida has the rule that protects the release of autopsies of minors in Florida, the new law that was passed in 2023. Do you expect this report to not be released? Do you expect investigators to at least give cause and manner if they don't provide the entire report? How do you think this will play in this case, in this scenario?
Sure. I do expect that we'll get what would be a partially to heavily redacted report. I can shed some light on the medical examiner's office. Osceola County does not have their own ME's office. They share that with Orange County, Orlando, to the north. And Orange County has roughly 3 or 4 times the population as Osceola County, so there will be plenty of cases that they're likely processing. I have dealt with them on other stories, in other cases. Generally, we'll get a result back in about 2 to 3 weeks and now these are cases where there isn't like toxicology and things like that. That could push it to like 3 to 4 weeks. I know tomorrow will be 3 weeks since the body was found, March 1st to March 22nd. So the release of that report could be imminent. I understand where Kissimmee police is saying that they're waiting on it because we're right about the timeline where if they did start processing it soon after they found the body on March 1st, that we could be seeing something here, soon, but rather high profile case with a lot of intricacies in with it. So, it's I would think we would see it soon. I would expect we will have access to at least the nuts and bolts of it, cause and such like that.
So, Dr. Carol Lieberman, what are your thoughts about Jen Soto when this report comes out? Do you think she wants to read it? Do you think she wants to know those details? Where do you think she could be mentally tonight?
I think Jen Soto is in a panic. I think she realizes that things are, are coming down, or that, that the police are getting closer to finding out all these details. And, of course, it's interesting that about what you said, that Florida has this rule about not releasing information about minors. Of course, of course it's horrible for any mother to hear gruesome details that would be typically in an autopsy report. But, a bomb, she could also hear a bomb if they were to reveal, or if she were to find out that, that Madeline was pregnant. As a psychiatrist, it sort of puts things in a very neat package that if Madeline were pregnant, that could explain. The boyfriend would say to Jen, if this comes out, we're both going to be in trouble. So therefore, I'm going to, take care of it, and don't you tell anybody anything about it. That would sort of fit I don't know that she was pregnant. I mean, again, as I was saying before, there are a lot of different scenarios. But you'll probably remember that when I was first talking on this show about the reasons why a sexual predator stops, one of them, a big one, is when the girl reaches the age of menstruating because they're afraid of the girl getting pregnant. So it's just a possibility.
Absolutely. Dr. Priya Banerjee, would that complicate things in the autopsy if, and again, this is a big if in fact she was carrying a child?
I don't think it complicates it. We look in every situation, every female that is autopsied, it's part of my routine examination. Now, I think you have to think about if it is true, we would document, try to document how far along the pregnancy would be, to then aid in investigation, timing of that. Does that bring any charges? She herself, looking at her, look, I would say normal bodied, like she's not looking pregnant, but that doesn't mean biologically she couldn't be. Again, all very critical, and anything, to go back to your initial point about DNA, anything, if she was pregnant, any tissues from that would be very essential to an investigation in linking a suspect. So all of that is like going through with a fine-tooth comb, which is what the autopsy is. You gather everything you can, and then send it out for analysis, and then collect all the data and assimilate it into the report. Yet again, why it's not an overnight process.
I think that's if that becomes the truth of this case, it may answer a bunch of questions. We don't know. As the chief from Kissimmee PD said, the ME has not provided them with the final report yet, so we wait for that. Everyone's staying with us. When we come back, we're going to talk about how they found her body. Like, how is it that they end up searching this area 22 miles away from Kissimmee? The answer when we return.
The Kissimmee Police Department, along with other law enforcement agencies in Central Florida, continue their search for Madeline for the next several days following her disappearance, and we turn to the public for help. During this time, our investigators combed through a significant number of tips, and on March 1st, we received information placing Stern's vehicle in a rural area of St. Cloud, where ultimately Madeline's body was discovered.
This is why publicity in these cases is enormously important. Publicity. The more we talk about it, whether it's on television, on social media, on the local news, the more we talk about it, the more people hear about it, the more people will provide information that they have. If no one was talking about the case, this tipster may not have known that they saw something important, but they absolutely did. And it may very well be this man who posted, Thomas Carey, who posted on Facebook, who said, I gave the pictures to Osceola County law enforcement as they started their search, and they found her where I said I saw him. Crime Line told me I did not have enough information, but Osceola jumped right to action. Thank goodness for the Osceola Law Enforcement and Kissimmee Police Department. I saw him around 1:20 on Monday on Old Hickory Tree Road, pull over on a roundabout that has a cargo shipping container. He was in on the right-hand side heading towards Harmony, that's the name of a town. He was wearing a green, light brown hat backwards. I didn't see anyone else in the vehicle. He was outside the car at the back left tire with a tire iron. Looks like he was changing it, but couldn't say for sure. Well, we know there was the spare on the back left of this tire. By the way, Cody Thomas, our producer, was down there and went to the spot where this tipster says he was.
Now, just across the street here in this area, this little divot off of Hickory Road, is where a witness online describes where he saw Stephen Stearns kneeling down, changing a tire that morning, February 26th, when Maddie Soto went missing. Now, you can see it's just a little gravel divot, a lot of flat land back here, private farmland. Now, police describe the area they saw that flat tire situation on Old Hickory Road. There's an Old Hickory Road and a Hickory Road. Hickory Road, again, across the street where Madeline Soto's body was found. So there could be a little confusion as far as what witnesses may or may not have saw between the two, that is Hickory Road and Old Hickory Road. But one thing we do know, again, right across the street and that tree line behind that memorial over the fence is where Madeline Soto's body was found on March 1st.
Ken Jackson, this tip is huge. It's absolutely huge. This is the reason they were there. I mean, when you go down, there'd be no reason to search in that area if you have a missing child from Kissimmee, right?
Well, I'd say that's the first time I'm seeing that Facebook post. That is kind of bombshell. I mean, I've heard the name and I've heard the content of it. I know that week there was law enforcement looking in about 4 or 5 different locations. There was one in South Orange County. There was one closer to St. Cloud. You had Orange County Sheriffs. You had Kissimmee Police. You had Osceola County Sheriff's Office were the ones that made the discovery on March 1st. I have been by that site once. Tomorrow I'm going to go down there, and then I'm going to come back on the roads that they talk about, taking Hickory Tree to Old Hickory Tree to come back into Kissimmee, just to kind of timeline it out to see how long it would take. Now we're assuming that he changed this tire on site, and I'm guessing that if the tire indeed wasn't flat, he was using it as a ruse to, this is why I'm here on a desolate road with my trunk open. Oh, I'm changing a tire. So, it's that road. Yeah, it connects Old Hickory Tree. If you stay on Hickory Tree, you eventually end up on 192 near Harmony. There are people live in that area that kind of use it as a cut through to avoid a chunk of 192. So there isn't a ton of traffic on that road normally. We've got a timeline of 1 to 2:30 p.m. in the afternoon on a Monday. Not exactly drive time, but this is Central Florida. We have a very tourism-based market, and there is no such thing really as rush hour. And people are coming and going at all times of the day. So at 1, 2 o'clock in the afternoon on that road, which I'm still trying to understand why someone would dispose of a body in the middle of the day.
Yeah, that's shocking, right?
Yeah, you would see them.
You would see them, but if you have the ruse or if you actually have a flat tire, some of it makes sense. Dr. Priya Banerjee, what about if you're on one side of that road, that body had to be brought to the other side of the road? Would you be able to tell if it was dragged or carried, or would that type of information be available?
That's a great point. I think dragging, yes, because there's gravelly surfaces, there's different texture surfaces there. I don't think carried, because it's just, he's carrying her across the road. There's no surface trauma inflicted on the body. So I think you would see the debris if she was dragged in any way. But then that also raises a big amount of suspicion if someone sees that. So
let me ask you this, Dr. Priya Banerjee.
Yeah.
If he's carrying a dead child, if someone was driving by and saw that, would it be obvious that the child was dead, or could it look similar to a child that might be sleeping?
Well, she's not a young child, right? She's not a baby or a toddler being carried. So I think her size, she's basically my height. I'm 5'1", so she's not, that's petite for an adult, but not easily hidden for a dead body. So, if she was dead by then. And so I think I think being carried is not going to inflict trauma, but it's going to be recognizable. She's in this grown man's arm. Why is it basically a teenager being carried?
And that would be unusual. I think you would think that there was something wrong, and you would pull over and see if they needed help. Or,
exactly, yeah.
Right.
I think a natural reaction is
but
to
keep
say,
your
hey,
gun by you just in case. Dr. Carol Lieberman, we have about a minute left here. What are your thoughts about this particular area? Do you think that it was, would someone plan to do this, or could it be that it was an actual flat tire and he saw an open gate?
Well, I think that, first of all, the man who owns the property shouldn't feel guilty, about the gate being open, because he would have found, the boyfriend would have found a place to leave her somewhere. I mean, it wasn't, she was already dead, presumably, and in any case, there are tons of places he could have put her, so it wasn't just because the gate was open. So, that part is hard. I do want to make one other point about the press conference. The chief was saying things like, if you suspect abuse, then tell a school resource officer or tell the police and somebody else. She didn't mention to tell a mental health professional. And that is certainly something that parents could and should do, because mental health professionals are
You're on the front lines too. You're on the front lines.
Yes.
Absolutely.
We are obligated legally to tell. So that's another source.
Great job tonight, everyone. Ken Jackson, Osceola News-Gazette, Dr. Priya Banerjee, Dr. Carol Lieberman. I know your time is valuable, so we really appreciate it. Thank you so much.